Welcome everyone to another episode of the Lancescurv Show. Today I want to speak about the unfortunate news of bodybuilder George Peterson passing away this week within days of the Mr. Olympia bodybuilding competition, the most prestigious, biggest competition in bodybuilding and all over the world. We wait for this all year long, and he passed away several days before. Really, you can say hours. I found out about this unfortunate news Wednesday the 6th of October 2021. And the prejudging for the show, which is where they judge you, is supposed to be Friday morning. So really it's within 48 hours, give or take. And I'm not here to really speak about merely the facts of him passing away, because many of the things, what really happened is not out there officially. And I'm not gonna really speak about things I don't know, to bash him or to bash choices and how we train and how we eat and how we diet. But it raised up a red flag for me that a man so healthy at the age of 37 and well trained could just pass away. I mean, it happens to all of us, right? We have youngsters, teenagers go to bed and wake up and, not wake up actually, and we don't know why. Then we have people who maybe abuse their body with alcohol and cigars and live over 100 years old. We'll just never know that mystery. We're all created in a different way, but our bodies are very receptive to what's happening around it and what we do to it, and we just don't know the effects. And what I wanted to zero in on with this, and this is what brought these feelings about, because I can talk about this all day, every day, and I've been wanting to talk about this particular phenomenon, not because I knew he was going to pass away, because as of recent, there have been many bodybuilders that have passed away, and I have always said it, and I have a little bit of experience when I dipped and dabbed into bodybuilding when I was a teenager, into my early 20s, and enough to know that, and again, this has nothing to do with George Peterson. I'm just very uptight that a sport that I love so much, that so many of us are leaving this earth, and that's beyond my control. When it's your time, it's your time. But there are situations out here in the sport of bodybuilding when I feel it's just not your time. And many of us who indulge in the sport leave. Why? Because we do things. And this is not to knock an individual who chooses to be an enhanced athlete, meaning one who may use some pharmaceuticals to achieve a certain look with their body. I'm not here to bash any one of those, because so many young men and older men and women, they have chosen to use those substances to enhance their physique, but it doesn't make me love them any less. That's their choice. I just hope that they use it safely and under a doctor's care, and you still don't know. But aside from that, no matter what kind of bodybuilder you happen to be, it's a very dangerous sport. And even I, when I was much younger, never used anabolic steroids, but I did some unhealthy practices to achieve a certain look. Now, they found George Peterson in his hotel room, face down and very cold. They tried to resuscitate him, bring him back, do whatever they could, what EMTs do, but it was too late. He was gone for already a while. Couldn't tell you how many hours, but a while. There are things you do there's a temporary things that you do to get a look on that day of the competition, because no matter how good you look leading up to an untrained eye, it's that hairline advantage that you want to look slightly better in your conditioning than the other competitor who may be genetically superior to you with his structure, but he's not in condition. So there's so many different variables with bodybuilding that we can go into that really would sound redundant, or maybe you just won't understand it at all if you're a neophyte. Needless to say, it's a sport where you want every advantage. You want to have the advantage on the day of the competition, the day of the prejudging, and the evening show. And your body changes from hour to hour. There are things that you can do to mess up your conditioning because your body is so well trained and very sensitive. And you take all year to train, and really, basically, you've been training all your life for each subsequent show to learn how different substances, different foods, different training techniques affect your body, so you can manifest everything and all of the planets lining up the night of the show so you can win. And you'd be surprised. There are things that you can do. Okay, like say, for example, the day before a competition, I wouldn't drink anything. I wouldn't drink anything at all. You wanted water to be out of your muscles because water and fat look the same under the skin. So if you go out on stage waterlogged, it doesn't look as good. So people go overboard and they won't drink water for 2 days, or they just take diuretics to suck out the last bit of water out of their system. But your brain needs water, your organs need water, your body needs water. The majority of us, we're made of water, but we do these things to have that last minute look. I remember after my training Thursday morning, if the competition was on Saturday, I was so drained and dehydrated, but I would take my time and nibble my food. I would make sure just to eat enough and lay down for those 2 days and let my muscle glycogen fill back up so my muscles would look full by the time the show came. And then right before you go out on stage, maybe 20 minutes or so, you sip a little blackberry brandy, you eat a chocolate bar, and you take a tablet of niacin, which is a B vitamin that when isolated that way gives you a rush. And it drastically makes you more vascular, even though you have your veins sitting out. You see, so there's different things that you can do naturally, but now when you get into the pharmaceuticals and the drugs, it's a whole different ball game. Your body reacts quickly. And if you happen to be using these substances for years and years, off and on or constantly, it could be quite dangerous, especially when you do these extreme practices of dehydrating yourself and messing around with your insulin levels, which some guys do. They're shooting insulin now. And I'm not saying any of this to throw off on George Peterson, but when a person dies who is in such great shape, you can't help but wonder. And I give my condolences out to his family. They were very supportive, and he was a great guy. You understand? From what I'm hearing. And I do have to say that bodybuilding is one of the hardest sports to indulge in. Yes, the sport of boxing is hard. I love it, and I know it well. You train, you get hit day in and day out. But there's a point where you can go and lay down and go to sleep and not think about it. You can go, if you're not in a weight division where you have to make weight, pretty much you can eat what you want in the off season when you're not training for anything, as long as you keep your weight down. But with bodybuilding, it's 24/7. If you're a cyclist, you cycle. And there are things that you do to keep healthy, to not put on excess weight so you don't have as much to carry around. And the training can be very intense, but there's a certain point that you can get off of the cycle. You see? Baseball, football, yeah, they're all very demanding, right? Hockey, everything, track. But bodybuilding is a thing that never goes away. When you're training for competition, you're measuring every morsel of food that you put in your mouth. You're looking at your body weight. You're looking at the hour-to-hour change in your body. As the weeks come in and draw closer to the competition, and you're a week out, and you may look a certain way, kind of flat, like your muscles don't look full. You don't want to do something to fill out and spill over and just look smooth. So it's really a hectic game to be in, and it takes a lot of mental energy. And I take my hat off to anyone, no matter what they do to get into that shape, to look like that. But when you have a child that's coming up and they want to get into lifting weights because of the natural, normal slight sense of insecurity, that they want to get their arms bigger, they want to get a six-pack, they want to get their chest developed, their legs, their total body. As long as you approach it in a healthy manner, I have no problem with that. But these days, when you have a youngster, and I tell you, and why am I focusing on that? Because pharmaceuticals are all over the place, and it's not hard for a youngster to want to get there faster as far as reaching their goals. And there's always that person in the gym who has a hookup where, hey, I can get you these pills, man. It'll get you there even faster. And this means a lot to people these days, more so than when I was coming up, because we're so visual. This is a social media generation. We have Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube. And these things lure us in because I'm not going to say that's a narcissistic generation, but this is a time and a generation where you can show off and get comments and likes and followers. And it's so gratifying on a temporary level. And many of us become so intoxicated with that we can't stop. We know certain things may not be good for us or unhealthy for us. Certain dietary practices, not even just dietary, meaning you're eating a little bit and limited calories, but just like the amount of food that guys are eating, the practices that they're doing to get big, but yet some of them may not have the structure. They may be narrow. and tall. You can put on weight and look muscular, but you might not look like a person who naturally has wide shoulders, narrow hips, and full muscle bellies with small joints. You're already there when it's like that. The basic frame you have to understand, where everybody can improve in bodybuilding, is not going to be for everybody to be a champion. But yet and still, many feel they will be. And they're deluded. We need to bring them back to earth. Not to say you can't improve, but don't hurt your internal organs with pharmaceuticals that are going to have long-term effects up to and even death. This is what we need to know. And somebody has to tell the truth, that bodybuilding is a very, very unhealthy sport. And it's far and few between of those who decide to take it to the next level. It's not like drugs are just going to give you that body. So many people think that because the top stars, and all of them, yes, I'm saying it, all of them in an open competition with bodybuilding, they all use drugs. There's nothing big to say. It's been like that for decades. It was an epidemic back in the days in the early 80s and late 70s when I was doing it. It's one of the reasons why I walked away. I did not want to get into something that would not have me healthy in the years that I'm living now. And again, I love all of my brothers and sisters who trained with me, and I still keep in contact with them. But even they know I'm telling the truth. And this is not to knock them, but I speak out of caring and loving. Bodybuilding is one of the worst sports to get into when you start to crave to get bigger and I want to get in this. You can do it to a point, but do it for your health. Do it to enhance your life. Don't let it become your life. I've talked to many brothers and sisters who I know who have been bodybuilding champions in their life and competed and trained all their life. And most of them said, Lance, if I can do this all again, I would not follow and get into this sport. So I didn't feel so bad after leaving it at 22 years old in April of 1985. I told everybody the things that I'm seeing, I don't think I want to do this anymore. It's a sick sport. The things it attracts. But if you can go in there with a business mind and do it in a healthy way and look at it and be a supportive factor, it's a supplement company or some type of personal training, fine, in a healthy way. But the thing is that most of the gullible public do not believe that you have knowledge of training unless you look like one of the guys who are in the Olympia, in a national competition, or just acknowledged by the bodybuilding world. My best training advice have come from guys who train moderately and look really good. But most people want to see the freaks, the biggest, the most cut up. Of course we want to see that. We want to see King Kong versus Godzilla. We don't want to see anything less. More power to them who do. I hope they live a long life and get out before it takes them. Leon Brown, I can't say lifelong friend of mine, but someone who I got to know when I first started going to the gym. Very good friend of Arnold Schwarzenegger's, and just everybody knows Leon Brown. He just passed away. He had cancer. Anybody can get cancer. But in the back of my mind, I say to myself, with his occasional pharmaceutical use, did that help to escalate that situation? We'll never know. But don't do something that can come back to haunt you down the road and down the line. Live a full, happy, strong, healthy life. Bodybuilding can do that for you. But when the younger insecurities stay in your head and you are a behemoth now, you're so developed and the world goes crazy when they see you. But sometimes we don't see ourselves as we should and as we are, because we see ourselves as that skinny little kid or that shapeless young lady growing up, and we never erase that out of our head. The mind is a heck of a thing. I myself have slight body image issues. I feel as though I'm 500 pounds because I don't look the way I used to look when I was a teenager. So this thing, when you take it to the extremes, it affects you in ways that you don't even realize it. And even if you're alive, your mind can sort of be messed up. So just tread softly, be careful. If you have someone who's interested in getting into it, get somebody who can help them and make them understand that, yes, you can train, you can get better, and yes, one day you might be a champion. But don't put all your eggs in one basket, and understand that life is long, life is beautiful, and it's a thing that will be denied no one if you do your best, eat healthy, get your rest, and get strong, and live balanced. Lancescurv out. I hope you got something from these words, because I speak from experience. And all I can say is that I love the sport of bodybuilding, but I don't believe in it like that. Don't find out the hard way. Do it safely, or don't do it at all. Peace. Much love.